this, I'm going to ask you to raise some hands. When you think of domestic violence, do you think of it typically being in the home? Do you typically think of a man and a woman? How many of you, raise of hands, imagine the husband coming home to beat the wife? How many of you might put in the word physical into it? What if I told you that wasn't the case 100% of the time? It can be under 18, it can be sexual violence, it can be psychological violence, it can be between a woman and a woman, it can be between a man and a man. Domestic abuse can happen any sort of way. I'm a domestic abuse survivor, and what sets me apart is that I was never hit. It was a queer relationship, and I was only 14 years old. Today, I urge you to think again and change your thinking on what domestic abuse can look like. This is me, freshman year. Ugh. I identified as a female at the time. I am now genderqueer, and I am bisexual. I was sitting next to the group of the coolest sophomores ever. My friend decided to introduce me to them. The outfit that my abuser was wearing is still engraved into my mind. She was wearing fishnets under some blue ripped jeans. Tucked into a black belt was a white beetle shirt. She had short pink hair and some necklaces and a choker on her neck. To me, she was beautiful. The other thing that is engraved into my mind is the date we started dating. September 18th, 2020. There are 3 steps to domestic abuse in my book. The first step is love. Now, love is usually a good thing, and I think everyone should embrace it. However, when someone takes the idea of love and unravels it and uses it against you, that's when love can be a bad thing. That's what happened to me. For the first few months, she was amazing. We talked on the phone from the hours of 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Imagine the things that we knew about each other. Imagine the things that I told her, thinking that I could trust her. With that, I was also given gifts. I was given this plushie along with this cute shirt. Now, I don't wear this shirt, and this plushie kind of stays far away from me. But every time I hold these articles in my hand, I'm reminded of what happened to me. I don't know why I kept them. Perhaps I was just too lazy to throw them into the garbage bin. Perhaps it's just a brave gesture to remind me of what I went through my freshman year. Now, the thing with all of these amazing things, although the validation felt good, I was wrapped around her finger. My vulnerability was her power. She never had to hit me. She never had to put her hands on me to force vulnerability. It was all in the control, which is the second step, control. I was acting in my fall play when my castmate was finishing up her scene. She stepped off stage and started to have a panic attack. During intermission, I kind of asked around because everyone was already talking about it. My senior friend had mentioned my girlfriend's dead name, but I won't be sharing names just for privacy reasons. He had said that my girlfriend had dated this girl. She was having a panic attack because my girlfriend was in the audience. She wasn't supposed to be. Now, why wasn't she supposed to be? I had learned that my girlfriend had a restraining order against her. I had learned that she had put hands on her ex-girlfriend. She had hit her. I broke down in tears. Was I a bad person for dating this girl? Everyone seemed to know. Why didn't anybody tell me? Do I break up with her? Do I give her a chance? What do I do? Okay, so I call her. Now, it's not sensible now, but it seems sensible in the time being. She made it seem like her situation was so much worse than the person she slapped. She told me that she went to juvie, that she went to therapy, she's doing so much better now, and that she loves me, blah, 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 blah. How was her situation so much worse than someone who was going through this strong because of her? I talked to my castmate, and she said that she didn't want to tell me about it because she didn't want to ruin a relationship. I think she was scared. If this girl is willing restraining order multiple times. How are we supposed to know that she won't do anything else to her? I only took a break from her for a weekend, and I kept dating her for a year after that. Sometimes I wonder if I deserved the abuse I endured, because I chose to stay with this girl. The validation was amazing, and I had a shoulder to lean on. How could I let that go, especially a young freshman like me? This list also is an example of control, and also an example of the third step, which we will get to. This list is a list of things she did to me. This isn't even half of what happened. The brain is a silly thing. A little psychology for y'all. The brain will try to forget trauma and details of trauma to protect you. And although I would love to forget it all and feel protected, I get this sort of imposter syndrome when I don't feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, my experience. One example I have is I was isolated. I was isolated from my friends. I wasn't allowed to hang out with my friends unless she was there with me. If I did hang out with my friends and she wasn't there with me, she would convince me that my friends were bad people, that they wanted to separate us. Furthermore, I was separated from my family. She convinced me that my mom was abusive, but that wasn't true. Discipline does not equal abuse. My mom, if you know her, she could talk your ear off, and she raised me right. Tough love is not abuse. I was separated from the people I love the most, and I'm so sorry for not being there. The third step, advantage of love and control. When you take advantage of love, you take advantage of control, and put it together, it is so easy to have someone's control, to be able to control someone else. When you love someone enough, you're willing to do anything for them. And when you trust someone enough, you trust them to do the same for you. That doesn't always happen. There are 3 types of abuse in my book. Obviously, there are different names for other different types of abuse. But the ones I like to highlight is physical abuse, sexual abuse, and psychological abuse. Now, what these all have in common, despite being different, is this 3-step cycle. How do I heal? How can you heal? No one is completely healed, but there is a journey you can start. IFCA, remember that. Identify, feel, cope, and advocate. Identify what happened to you. Sometimes abuse can be invisible. I didn't know until I was online and there was someone on TikTok talking about what narcissistic abuse and psychological abuse looks like. It resonated with me. I started doing more research and realized this is why I'm so upset. This is why I'm so separated. This is why I feel so alone. After that, I felt, feel your emotions or healing won't start. Feel angry, feel guilty, feel sad, feel happy, whatever it is, but know exactly what you're feeling. Cope. Coping is also something you need to do. You cannot feel without coping. It's impossible for humans to do. Self-harm, drugs, alcohol will not help you. But art, religion, poetry, those are some of the things that helped me. For example, I have tiger's eye in this pouch. The idea of tiger's eye is to rub it and the energy comes off on you. My Wiccan beliefs are what really helped me get through stuff like this. Advocate. Your voice doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be loud. It's as simple as maybe writing something down, as maybe going to talk to a therapist, getting someone to know who you are and what your story is. Me sitting right here is my way of advocating. I'm hoping that I can save a life just by telling you guys my story. How can I help? How can you help? Note this. If you feel like you know someone who's being abused, backlash may happen. If my parents had told me to break up with my girlfriend, I probably would have said, oh, you're jealous. Oh, you just want us to be apart. Whatever angsty teen stuff I would have said. It was up to me to get out of that. It was up to me to seek the help. So hire the help, execute the help. okay to support system. Point the way. I'm pointing the way right now by telling you a simple Google search can give you hotlines, to give you resources, locations of where you can go if you feel that you are being abused. There are curriculums that you can teach. Teachers, I urge you, please teach these curriculums. Learn how to identify if your kids are in crisis. Now, I'm going to leave you with this. You know my definition, but what's the definition you can have to better understand this? So here's my word of the day. Bully. Domestic abuse is bullying. Let's imagine a girl on the playground. She's getting beat up, she's getting broken down, names are being called to her. She doesn't want to go to school, she doesn't want to do anything. She's separated from her teachers, her parents. We all know what bullying is. Now imagine all of that in a relationship with the person you love. That is domestic abuse. But remember, you are not alone. It is possible to get out. It is the hardest thing you have to do, and people can't help you. But you, the survivor, you, the victim, you are the one that